So thank you so much for readily accepting the invite. So to all those who have joined, I know Subhashni through Aware India, where as many of you might know, I volunteer. So she was also a volunteer over there. So we met the first time. Did we meet during the self-defense or the POSH training?
I guess post training. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so
We went
yeah,
for a
we
post training to a company.
first training session to a company. That's when I met her, and somebody to whom I immediately developed a lot of admiration. I think like most of us, she followed the league, Engineers League, and then she developed her passion. But it takes a lot of that passion and conviction to step out of what you were doing, typically what people expect you to do, and to move into what actually mattered to you, which is more of the child safety, child protection. That is where you have been working predominantly. And last 7 years, she has been in the development sector now. There are a lot of areas, not just related to children, with respect to violence against women, gender, sexuality, a lot of things that she writes regularly about. She discusses her stories or Facebook posts. Everything is like so knowledge sharing that I may not be able to read everything, but I do at least save a couple of them because it kind of opens your own perspective towards inclusion, diversity, and inclusion is what I feel. So, yeah, Subhashni, if anything I missed, you can, anything you want to add to your introduction, you can please feel free to.
Yeah, okay. Not going to boast about it, but still, yes. So I have this passion towards working for children, basically. So I go with child sexual abuse prevention. That is my major part. And anything related to children, I'll be there. Okay, it's more like you talk about children, I will be there. You talk about the issues related to children, and I will be there. And professionally, also, I'm also working with the Department of Social Defense that works for children, actually. So within Tamil Nadu, wherever there is something happening related to children, it will be coming to our knowledge first. So I am working in the head office, who is actually monitoring throughout the 38 districts across Tamil Nadu. And
Nice.
apart from it, this is just the profession side. But apart from it, passionately and with a lot of curiosity also, I'm actually working with an NGO. It's actually our own NGO, Karpom Karpipom. So actually, we have, I guess, the founder is also in this live as a
Yeah,
participant.
I saw they joined like in the start of
Yeah,
the line itself.
yeah.
I hope
So
they're still
even
there.
yes, and even if it's even through Karpom Karpipom, we are actually working for prevention of child sexual abuse. And right now, we have started focusing more on sexuality education. Okay, so if you go and check our page also, the name itself says the same thing. அனைவருக்குமான பாலியல் கல்வி. That means
Yeah,
sexuality education for everyone.
very big.
So it's not just the children, but also for adults as well. So we are actually focusing on that. And why we have chosen sexuality education is it's more like before choosing this particular topic, we actually worked only on child sexual abuse, or we talk about women's health, where we talk about menstruation as well as menopause, everything, right? And apart from that, we focused on happy parenting. But then when you think about sexuality education, it's just a collection of all these things together. You talk about relationship, you talk about personality development, you talk about your attitude, your emotional regulations, your body development. Everything will come under sexuality education. So we thought maybe we should start focusing more into this rather than specifying CSA,
Child.
like child
Yeah.
sexual abuse and all. So that's how we started focusing on this. And through Karpom Karpipom, we are actually doing it. I hope we are doing it better, and we are hoping to spread it across more as well. So that is our aim, actually, to make it as a proper free research institute where people have access to resources regarding sexuality education. So
That's
that is
wonderful.
the main goal. And apart from that, um, we actually work for education also. So educating the children, it's
Yeah.
more like raising funds for their education
Hmm.
so that their education is not getting discontinued. So that is also we are doing. We are actually budding people in this area. So we are actually looking for other options how to take it forward. So
Yeah,
that is
somebody
what we
has
shot.
given a very nice comment to your team, Sam Nagarajan. You guys are the best. Kudos to your team. So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
really awesome, awesome work. Like, not pertaining to one particular area, which is like CSA, but to address the underlying spectrum of things that
Yeah.
because people think it is one segmented thing that
Yes.
because movies also like pertain to certain things like Gargi or Ponmagalanda, they address certain things. But what is the underlying cause of all this is the lack of awareness of a lot of things that should have actually been there to us.
Yeah.
So kudos to you and your team. So before we proceed, since we spoke about Karpom Karpipom, how do people reach out to you? Be it in terms of volunteering to Karpom Karpipom or to reach out for resources. So how do they do that? Any suggestions
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. We have a Insta page, Sexed Karpom
Mhm.
Karpipom. I will share the link later in here, or maybe Sexed they can share it here. And
Yeah.
apart from that, we have a number. Usually they reach out through our phone number. We
Mhm.
have that, and we have email ID also. So mostly we get Insta DMs only. So through
Mhm.
Insta only, they actually people reach out to us either for asking doubts or clarifications, or they just want to join as a volunteer, or internship is also there. So for internship also, they actually DM. So
Mhm.
from DM, we take it forward through a call, or we ask them to drop and form a email for our documentation purpose, and then we take it forward.
Okay, that's good. So just the question that popped up in my mind. In case a parent wants to reach out to you because their child has gone through a CSA incident or something, do you people like support them to the or guide them to where they can like reach out or
Definitely,
how?
we can guide. Yeah, definitely we can guide. And to be very frank, within Tamil Nadu, if it is happening to anyone, they can very well reach out to us because we have control over the district child protection officers, their units, everything in that place. So we can very well direct them, and we can also brief about what will be happening in the next, if you go and report it,
Mm,
and what will happen to it. And all those things are uh, we know how whom to direct instead of bagging your head back to go for support and feeling very low about it, not able to discuss with others also. You can
mm.
very well reach out to us. I will share the number also, or if you want, they can get a number from you as well. So you can very
Sure,
well
sure.
direct them to me through a personal number, or through
Yeah,
Sexed Insta is also fine.
definitely. And that's one of my friends who has left a nice comment. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much.
Mm.
So, Shubha, in case we have not covered still the spectrum of what encompasses sex education, so what is sex ed actually? I know there are a
Okay.
lot of myths about the entire thing. People don't really understand what because I recently even saw a post from Maya Sama where she spoke about a friendship that her daughter has been having at school. So she had mentioned even those discussions fall under the spectrum of sex ed. So what is it actually? I think that's the first question I would like to start.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we all know the saying, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. It goes very, very well with, sexuality education actually. So within our context, within our cultural context, within India, what actually people think is sex education is all about teaching people or children about having sex, what is intercourse, and all those things. And I don't want to blame them as well, because the very first time sexuality education was introduced in India was back
Mhm.
in 90s only, 80s or 90s. But then it was only to eradicate, no, create awareness about HIV and eradicate it. So
Sure.
they started talking about contraceptives, etc., and all those things, and only with that perspective. And when, as the ages went on, as the years went on, when they started talking about sex education, actually our government, they opposed the content created, saying that there should be no mention of sex in the whole booklet.
So
So
is
I
it the
don't want to.
central or the state government
Central,
doing?
central. Yeah,
Okay,
it's in the
okay.
central. Yeah. So that was the problem initially. But then what sexuality education is all about is beyond all these things. It's not just about sex. Sex is just a part of it. As you go through, you get old and you get to know about it, what is sex, everything. But beyond that, before itself, when a child is born, exploring their own body, knowing about their body, knowing about what is happening to their mind as well as they develop, what is the hormonal changes within them as they develop, what is happening in other genders, their
Hmm.
body, their sexuality, and exploring their sexuality. Am I
Hmm.
really a girl, or am I really a boy, or am I someone else who I want to be? And all those feelings is also comes under sexuality education. And apart from it, the relationship, and we have a very what to say a very wrong notion about the relationship. Also, relationship is not just between the partners, right? It is about the relationship with your family. It starts the day you're born. It's with your family, it's with your friends, and there are many people you are going to encounter throughout your life, and all these parts, these becomes part of a relationship. So even talking about what is a healthy kind of relationship, what is unhealthy, everything falls under sexuality education. Apart from that, when we talk about sexuality education, we actually cover a wide range of spectrum, that's gender spectrum, which is
Hmm.
still a taboo now, right? Because people actually look down on people who say that they belong to LGBTQ, and there are people who don't accept them, right? So we also throw a light about the gender whole spectrum, that gender is not just binary, it's a wide range of spectrum, and it's not necessary that if I'm born a girl, I don't have to identify myself as a girl, as a woman. So we also talk about it, and it's more like breaking the stereotypes. It's all about the sexuality education is all about that. So when you talk about parents, it's going to be how to teach sex ed to the children,
Hmm.
and uh, to me, I would say that before you teach sex education to children, parents themselves, that adults ourselves, we need to learn what it is.
True.
We need to have a clear picture of what we are going to impart to the children, right? So sexuality education is not just for children, but everyone,
True.
throughout their age.
So, at what age do parents start teaching? What is like a right age to start?
Uh, I would say there is no something called right age, to start sexuality education, not. But if we talk about it, if we have to talk about it, then I would say a child actually starts to understand the emotions of the mother when the child is in the womb itself, right? So they react actually. So as a mother, you will know, and the child can feel the warmth of the mother's hands, their feelings, everything. So when the child is born, they are actually ready to learn what sexuality education is. Okay. So before we start talking about sexuality education, we should know what are the sexual behaviors, right? What are the appropriate sexual behaviors and what is normal for the children during those age. But if you need to start have a discussion, like a deep discussion about it, then when the child starts to ask the question the very first time, that is the right age to start about talking about it. So they are actually curious about something, they want to learn, and they are asking you a question means then you should be there. And I would say that will be the perfect time to start about it. But apart from it, when they are actually bathing the children, or when they are
Hmm.
actually, dressing up them, they can start talking about it. Or when the child, during those age, the child will be exploring their own body parts. They will touch mother's breast, or they will, once they are into 1 or 2 years, they will start touching their own genitals, and
Hmm.
all those things happens, right? So during that time, you can start talking about the body parts, start talking about the private parts. Why is it called private? And over the age they will, you will not feel awkward when you're talking
Hmm.
about it. So
Yeah, I
just
think
imagine.
they take it very naturally.
Yeah,
I
it is
I
such.
start because they do still are not and still do not associate these things to any shame or any taboo or things like. They're
Yes.
very open minded. So maybe I will just take a break. I want to like share my. For me, I started for my daughter around she was 2.5, 3, and I think bathing time is kind of really easier to bring that. It is easy. It is not like you are setting up a time to bring up this topic. It's not that you are just explaining about the body, and which is like the four areas which we say, which are like private, nobody should. So that is what I started with for her. Like even today, she was well bathing, right? She was touching me here, and then I said, "No, you're not supposed to touch. That is my private." Then she was like, "Can I touch mine?" So I think they kind of naturally build up that conversation,
Yeah.
enabling us. And the first thing is to, what would you say? I started it with the safe and unsafe touch, because that is what. So if anything that you think is the right thing to start with them, I think explaining about the body and then slowly moving on to the touch, will that be a right course or how is
No, actually, again, there is nothing called this is the right course or something. Okay, it's all the teachable moments we have to create. All the moment that is happening, we have to make it as a teachable moment. So, for example, when you're bathing the child, you are actually when you give them a shower, when you bathe them, you can say that you have to keep your body clean. That's the
it?
first part of hygiene, and these are the private parts. And when you say private parts, they need to know why it is called private, right? But
Hmm.
during that time, exactly, we cannot say why. But then we can tell them, just like other body parts, even the private parts have their own functions, right? They are in your body for a reason. So you can start with that, and later on you can start with how to keep yourself clean, the hygienic practices. Then body consent and the boundary. Actually, you need to
Hmm.
start about teaching about consent and boundary right from the age you start teaching about sexuality education,
True.
because that is something, like, what you say, that is the base for everything. Okay, so, and in the later age, when a child is facing any kind of a rejection or something, the base to it is the consent and the boundary that you have taught in the young age. So they need to know that it is not okay to invade someone's private space. It is not okay to do something which is uncomfortable for others, and you need to ask their permission before you do it. And all those things, how you will teach means, when you're doing something with your child, you're talking to them, or you're taking their things, or you're asking them to change their dress, and you can go and ask, hey, can I change your dress now? You can
Hmm.
ask the question. Or, can I do this for you? Can I give you a kiss? Can I hug you? Can I shake your hand? All these things, it's more like, uh, children, when they are actually growing up, they feel their parents to be their very close friends and someone they can rely upon for very long time. And they are the trustworthy people who is going to be around the child. So when the parents themselves are teaching about consent and boundary, they are actually putting it in practice. Children know that beyond this, no one can touch me or invade my space. So I have all the rights over my body. I have control over my body, and I can say no to anyone. And they
Hmm.
should know that only yes is a yes.
Hmm.
More than saying no is a no. No means no. If we have to talk starting about yes means yes. Beyond yes, if there is any hesitation attached to it, it is a no. And that is how start talking about it. Or when you want to talk about consent, so you can ask the child if you can give them a hug or something. And when a child, they playfully come and take your phone, or they take your things, they start using it, you can use it as a teachable moment. Like, you
Hmm.
can ask them, like, you should ask my permission, this is my
Hmm.
phone, this is my
Yeah.
property, so you need to ask my permission before you can use it. So you can start talking about. Initially, it will be very tough to implement it,
Hmm.
because all these sentiments and all these parents and children bond will come into action, all those things, but then that is a good practice.
Yeah, like in my case, like she, like if we invade and help her out when she's doing something and we just, let me do it for you, then she gets like really angry. So it is always one thing that is easier that has been for me is like, I ask her, can I help? Or else I ask, do you need help? Do you think you need help with it? Then she will come. So now, it was hard then, but now with practice, it has become like she tries it. But before getting that frustrated moment, she's like, "Mommy, can you help me with this?" So I
Yeah.
think that's where the consent starts in, not just with related to the body image, but then the entire
Yeah.
gamut of things. So I think that is a really valid point and a good starting point, because I think
Yeah.
consent and boundary is something. that boils down into all spheres later as a
Exactly.
relationships or whatever they are going to navigate throughout their life. I think that is going to be there. So I think that's a good start. Okay, I mean, when I have posted about asking for questions, right? The one thing that a lot of them had asked me was how to talk age appropriately about this. I really don't know how to respond age appropriately to whatever it is under the spectrum of sex.
So is it like how to respond age appropriately or how to teach them age
Initiate a
appropriately?
conversation also. Maybe we can start with initiating. For me, say if I have to talk as a mother of a 5-year-old, it is like there are fairy tale movies which we watch because at this age that is what we are going to watch. And then there is always the ending scene, which is where the prince and the princess kind of unite and they kiss. So how do now as of we don't know whether they're going to question because I teach her this is a private part and you're not supposed to touch or kiss me there. But then over there it is a and there are such stories or fairy tales where it is not happening with consent as well. We know like the prince comes and kisses and she
Yes.
wakes up and all these things. So at this moment, say if I have to tell that to a 5-year-old, how do I approach it in an age appropriate way? And second part to that is particularly when there are people around. Like there are a lot of times the mother and the child are extremely comfortable having these conversations, but then people around, particularly if there are elders, then it is totally looked upon in a different sense. So that's what. And
Yeah.
teaching a child is far more easier than teaching elders.
Others. Yes,
So
that's very true. That's very true. Okay, so when these things come upon, so what we have to do is before we watch or something, or before we show intimate scenes or something that's happening in the movie, we need to make sure that we have already initiated a conversation about it. Okay, so for example, talking about private parts or talking about safe and unsafe behaviors, safe and unsafe touch, all those things. So, as a day-to-day activity, initially we should have started it already because they should know that this is private. Like you said, you have said your child, daughter that this is the private part, so no one should touch it. So at least up to that level, they should know. Okay,
hmm.
like we should have actually taught them. Now coming to the point where suddenly these intimate scenes actually pop up in the movies, I would say two things. One is before you actually start watching the movie with your child, there is always movie rating that comes, right? If it requires parental guidance or not, or if it is suitable for them. So first, actually have a look at it whether it needs a parental guidance or is it okay to watch it with the child or not. First thing. Second thing, okay, fine. Like we have started watching it and an intimate scene has come and all those things have happened. I would say we should not react at first. We should not react, abruptly. We should not react. Like you shoo away, or you just, switch off the TV, or you
Others like
change the channel,
distract them.
or just distract them. That is completely, I would say, it's a very easiest step to make them more curious about it. So
True.
so we should not react that way. So instead, just stay calm, look at your child, whether the child is actually paying attention to the movie or not. Look at them, how they are reacting to the movie, reacting to that particular scene. Suppose if the child is feeling uncomfortable, or if you feel that there is a discomfort in the child's way of reacting, you can talk to the child. You can start, how are you feeling? You don't have to explain about this scene. See this scene. Are you feeling bad because you have seen this scene over the movie? You don't have to do it. It's always, when you always talk about the child, we need to actually understand, we need to fix our mind that the child doesn't know beyond the age. Okay. And they do not know how we feel, or maybe they have seen that scene and they just take it very casually. It's not a big deal for them at all. They just see just like any other scenes on the TV, they just move across it. But then you need to start talking about it. Maybe if not that time, if you feel awkward at that time also, later on when you talk, discuss about the movies, or when you discuss about certain things, you can start talking. Anik, we saw that movie la, adla the scene came, right? So what do you think about that scene? How did you feel about it? or do you want to discuss about it, because I want to know how you feel, I want to know what you know about it. You always get to know what the child knows and then you respond to them. And that is how the age appropriate thing actually starts. Okay, so we may actually become paranoid while seeing
Mm.
that. Oh my god, what the child has seen. Or for the child it will be nothing at all. Always the child doesn't feel the shame. They don't know the shame until we adults actually instill it to them. Until we say puppy shame, 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 puppy shame, they don't know that it is very shameful to go around naked or nude or something like that, right? So first you get to know what the child knows and then you talk about it. Second
Mm.
thing, when you're talking about it, when you start the conversation about it, be very calm and expect, be informed and expect that there is going to be quite a lot of questions that the child is going to throw up, right? So when they are throwing it, please make sure you don't lose words, or
Mm.
you talk what you know. Otherwise, you
Mm.
don't talk. You actually, it's kind of, we will start the conversation, we will talk something, and beyond a point, we will not know how to take it forward. So what we
Mm.
say, hey, அவ்வளவுதான் உனக்கு சொல்ல முடியும். That's all. That will be the first point of curiosity to them, and they know that if they are going to come back to Amma or Appa, we are not going to say. So they will
Mm.
definitely go, this world
Outside
is filled with
resources, yeah.
internet, other resources, many people, and we really don't know whom to trust or not. And this is a digital world, and they are going to turn up to something else, and they are going to start hiding things from us.
Mm.
Instead of that, we have to create a trust with the children. We have to make them trust that they can come to us anytime. We are there to solve, or we are there to answer any of their questions. And they should be very comfortable about it. And before making them comfortable, we have to become comfortable talking about those things, right?
Very good.
So,
True.
but when it is within this Indian context, it's very tough actually, considering the family setup, considering what is seen as taboo here, because just imagine, we actually don't even have casual time for the couples here, right? Even at home, we will not have seen our mother or father, putting their hands over each other, hugging them in front of others, or talking something very sweet in front of others also. So it is very tough for them to actually talk about it. But then initially everything is going to be very tough. But then
Mm.
if you want your child to um, uh, develop gracefully, develop sex positive, you want them to develop very someone who is responsible person, if you want them to become a responsible adult, you have to take step here. You need to break your discomfort here, and you have to start talking to the child. So let the child ask the question and later you can answer to it. You just don't have
Yeah.
to uh, get paranoid and blabber something to them, and you don't have to create a lot of fuss over there. We can
Mm.
actually wait for some time and see how the child reacts to it. But then if it is getting very awkward and you just want to change the channel and all, just make sure the
It is
child doesn't know
casual.
that you're
Yeah.
yeah, changing the channel because of that scene. Because if we do that, if we react in that way, the child will actually think, because they learn from what they see more than from what they hear. Okay, so the child will think that it is something that should not be talked about or that should not be seen in the movies and all those things. And once the child develops over the age, you can tell the child that things you see on the screen, they are not real actually. They are actually doing with consent. They are actually like for money they are doing it. They are acting, they are pretending to be like that. They need to know, because uh, kids get influenced by screens actually. So they need to know that it is not the truth. That is not how actually it happens.
Mm.
Or if you have a child who is keenly observing that, like for example, you said in the fairy tales at the end, all these things in come which comes out of non-consensual, right? So during those time, you can actually explain to them that these things, what you see on this movie, this should not be done like this in the real.
Mm.
Consent should be there. He or she should have asked the other person whether I should kiss them or whether I should hug them. It is their rights. and it is the right for other person to feel safe around them. It is their private space, so you can start talking about the consent there.
Yeah. So I think if I have to summarize for those who asked, like, which is the age appropriate way to talk, first analyze where your child is in this entire, where you and your child are in terms of these conversations, and then accordingly take it forward. And like, if we, as we spoke about the first initial few steps of like talking about the body, and if you have not even started that, even not even that kind of a trust and conversation has developed, it's not that automatically you will be able to start about the bigger things. So I think start it slow with what is immediately falls into the purview of it.
Yeah. Yes.
And for parents, like as a fellow parent, what I would like to say is I read this quote somewhere. We were raised for a world that no longer exists. So I think most of the 90s kids can relate to that. And
Definitely.
so I think it is time that we actually raise them to what is they're going to face in this world. There is no chichi, no shushu, hush hush out of these things. Because I think as humans, this is what all humans are going to go through, rather than once these things are clear, right, all that coveted grades or jobs and degrees, they are automatically going to happen. I think this communication is something that's really hard to establish, and that space of trust. So I think that is where parents need to focus on.
Yeah.
So coming to, yeah, movies we covered. One, you spoke about how it empowers children to say somebody. So let me just say, I went to her movie with my niece. Okay, she's like 12 years old, and we went. So she has this habit. If at all any form of sentimental scene comes, she will just lie flat on the seat. Like she just gives
Okay.
me and she goes like this. And like, what are you doing? Be it for a fight scene or be it for any sentimental, even among friends. It's not just a romantic scene or anything. She just bends under the seat and just hides herself. See, for me, I really don't know because we don't like I'm not her mother to teach that, or we don't have it. So her, I didn't want to barge into the space of her parents. But in case somebody's own child is like this, how do they bring them out of such a thing? The scenario is such that even her parents, if they want to watch a movie, they have to put some other like kid related movie for her and put her, else she keeps scolding them, why are you all watching this, what is this that. That is how it has been for a normal movie. So how do we handle such a thing as a parent?
Yeah, okay. So it can start from the beginning itself. The first time they have started watching movie together, or as a parent, every day they are actually with their child, right? So they will know like how the child is reacting to certain things, how the child is reacting to certain scenes or whatever it is. Okay, so they need to work on how the child is expressing themselves, right? So as a parent, if they look into it before watching the movie itself, they can start talking about it, or they say, you know it's not just about kids movies or something, because they are actually okay with watching kids movie, right? But they are not okay with watching this full screen, all these people. So that is where you have to start, and the transition will be there, like they will be more into animated when they are kids, they will be more into cartoons or kids kind of fairy tales, all those things. So when you're navigating it from there to the full length the movies that we actually are watching, there is there will be children who are actually used to this, and you
Hmm.
need to get them out of that habit. And it's more like general habits that is having with the kids, over the age it actually changes naturally. But then sometimes you just have to have an eye on them. So this
I
is
think
also like that.
all these they can use as
Yeah.
conversation starters
Yeah,
and take the.
everything is conversation starters and everything. As I say, this whole thing, whatever you want to talk to the child, you don't have to talk it explicitly to them, or you don't have to sit with them, or you don't have to talk exclusively about this particular topic. Just in the day-to-day life, you can start with it. So at home, maybe they can start talking like this. while watching a kids movie, the mom or the father, whoever is close with the child, they can sit along with the child and they watch, and then they can ask the child, okay, till now we have been watching the movie you wanted, right? Now we will watch some other movie that you should also watch with them, because mother amma wants to watch it or appa wants to watch it. We want to watch it together, and we want to watch it with you, and we want you to get to know how the movies are, because throughout the life they are not going to go with the animation movies or fairy tales. There are certain hard hitting movies are also going to be there. You have to look at it, and only when you get into those, you they will know how they are going to respond to the emotions also, how they are going to express their emotions also. So step by step they have to start with it. So initially, and this phase is going to be there, but then when they start doing it together, assuring the child that okay, I'm here with you, we will watch it together, or once we are done watching this, we will watch the movie that you want to do, that you want to watch. All those things we have to, it is completely with the parents only, like how they are taking it. And definitely at this point, scolding them or threatening them, it is not going to help at all. It is a
Yeah.
failure model, disciplining them with all these hittings, beatings, and all those things. It's such a failure model. And I hope parents now these days, parents don't follow it. I guess they are not, but there are certain people who still think that that is how you have to teach certain stuff to the children, and
Yeah.
that is not going to work. I'm really
Yeah, in
sorry for
Tamil
other
also there is
people.
a saying, right? Adi உதவுற மாதிரி
Aunty
அண்ணன்
தம்பி
தம்பி
உதவ மாட்டாங்க. Yeah,
So
so
yeah.
that is, it's more like during the in the old age, in the old in ancient days or something. They didn't have much access to what is to be taught, or they don't talk anything openly, right? So there is always this hush hush moment in all in those times, and they always want to keep it secret, keep it what to say. They put all these honor and everything on the child, on the family. Okay, so to maintain that, what they will do is they will actually beat the child, or they will scold the
Mm.
child, and definitely the child will not repeat it out of the fear, just out of the fear, not because the child doesn't want to do. It's because if they do it, they are going to get scolding from the
And I
parents.
think they kind of even if they don't stop doing it, right? It's like it goes like
Yeah,
how we say hush hush. They kind of in a hidden way they keep doing it. They get
definitely
what
they
is
keep
needed,
doing it.
and the risk is they actually may not have access to the right source of
Right,
information.
so,
So that is the major problem. They might not hear it from a trustworthy person or follow the right source, or because the
yeah,
perils of the digital world is that you have a lot of content. You need to be there needs to be someone to supervise and say which is the right approach and the wrong
definitely.
approach. So I think. So I think taking a break from the questions, I wanted to understand at Karpom Karpipom. I believe you take some workshops at schools as well. I have
Yes,
seen some.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in these workshops, what do you teach? How do you approach? If it was like an introductory class to sex ed, or how it is? What do you actually cover in these workshops?
Yeah, okay. So when it comes to schools, what we do is first we go and approach the teachers. We take sessions for
Hmm.
the teacher, because our content is mostly focused on teachers, on the adults.
Okay.
More than the children, it is only on adults, because right now, adults need all these, unlearning phase actually. So we talk to the adults. We take it for teachers and parents. So we talk about how about the prevention of child sexual abuse. So more like what is child sexual abuse, what it is, and uh, the grooming strategies in those things, and what all comprises of child sexual abuse, what all comes under child sexual abuse, the POXO Act, or how you will identify the signs of abuse. How would you identify a child if the child has undergone abuse or is going through the abuse? And once if you find it, what is the next step? How you are going to make the child disclose it, or how you're going to heal the child, or how you're going to take it forward. Is it going to be a legal system or not? All those things we teach. But when it comes to children, it's more like empowering them. It's more about empowering them. We teach them like just how I said now. We will start with their body parts, hygiene, basic dangers, and all those things. Then we talk about what is comfortable and uncomfortable things, and how they react, the emotions that they express during uncomfortable situations and during comfortable situations, and when they feel safe or when they feel unsafe, based on the emotions, how they have to go and talk to a trusted adult, how they have to go and share it to someone, or as a first step, standing up for themselves, saying no, having the guts to say no, stopping them
True.
right there, then running from there, talking to a trusted adult, most importantly telling your parents that you have undergone something, you have
Yeah.
experienced this, and how they have to take it forward later. Or if you find your friend, if you know a friend who is undergoing all these things, you should not be silent about it. You should go and talk to your teacher or your friend's mother, like this. And most importantly, what we say is, it is not enough to be safe. You should be a safe person for others also. So you should be responsible, you should be, others should feel safe around you, you should not harm them. So while we talk about this, we actually include about consent and boundary. Definitely we'll talk about that. Then we will talk about relationship, and when it is relationship, we actually start talking from family, parents, parental relationship, then friends, then the teachers, then as the age goes on, they will get attracted to someone. All those relationships we will be talking about. And we talk about self-esteem, then body image, then how to like emotions, then we talk about gender sensitivity. So we actually introduce this gender thing. So
Hmm.
as an initial, if it is going to be a first part of the session, first set of the session, then we just tell them about child sexual abuse, how, like, prevention of this, and as an extended part of it, we will start talking about relationship, gender, everything. So we usually convince the teachers, to get us a spot for this or make it as a continuous program. And apart from this, we talk about menstrual hygiene, uh,
Yeah.
uh, women's health, the
Hmm.
uh, like, not just the menstruation period or the menopause period, but also what are the health effects, associated with these, what are the changes in their body. Then adolescence, definitely when it is
Hmm.
adolescence, we talk about the changes in girls as well as boys, to both of them, like all the genders should be included. We don't want to, it's very tough to get a session like that, having mixed gender in the
Hmm.
as
True.
an audience, because teachers, they will be like, no, female volunteer will teach the girls, male
Yeah,
volunteer will
yeah,
teach
yeah, yeah.
the boys. And it is very tough for it, so we somehow do
And
it, but
even like doing, I mean, while doing the session, right? Uh, if even if it's a co-ed school, they might separate the
yeah, they
genders
will
and they,
yeah, yes, they will
I still
separate
remember,
everything.
like for us during schools, right? I mean, some one of these product companies will only come and teach us about what is menstruation. So it is like only the girls come to the
Yes,
auditorium.
yeah.
So once we go back to class, and the guys will be like, "What was the session? What was the session? Why we were not called?"
So we make
And
sure that kind of awkwardness is not created. So we initiate a conversation with the boys also. We will
hmm,
make sure, because that boy is going to be with fellow girl students in the class, or he might be having sisters, he is having mother, or he is going to encounter many such girls in his life, right? So he should know what it is, what is menstruation, what is happening. Same way, when we talk to the girls about menstruation also, we also talk about the bodily changes that is happening to the boys as well, because it
hmm,
is a right way to make them understand about each other, about other genders, their bodies also, so that
hmm.
they don't take them for granted, or they don't take them for they don't play with their emotions also, and all those things. So
So how
I
is the
think that's best.
response from them, from the students, when you do a mixed gender class on such topics? How does it actually go?
To be very honest, up to seventh grade or something, they will be completely fine. It will be very
Yeah.
normal for them. They will not. It will not make them feel awkward, or they will not ask any awkward questions. Also, it will be completely fine. But once you get into this eighth, ninth, tenth, and all those things, initially there will be girls will be like, you boys are here, and boys will be like, machan, see there, see that, and all those things will be there. But then when you start the conversation, you can actually see that many boys over there are actually very responsible. They will share
Hmm.
their stories. They say, once we were actually taking classes, and this one boy, they said, அண்ணா இது மாதிரி தான் நான் எங்க அம்மாக்கும் நான் வந்து பேட்லாம் வாங்கி கொடுத்தேன், போயிட்டு நான் தான் கடைக்கு போயிட்டு வாங்கிட்டு வருவேன். So jolly, he will be telling, Nanda, I will only do it அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. So it is the same for all the girls. It's not just for your amma, it's going to be for all. So even in classes, if you feel, when your friend or a classmate needs it, you can always help them, you can support them. It is nothing to hide anything or something. And I will make sure, I will tell the girls, not to hide their pads in a newspaper or in their packet and take it, because we all have faced that embarrassment in the school time. Maybe like now, I feel like maybe if there was someone who had taught me how to be like this, or how it is very normal to have a conversation or talk about this, maybe I wouldn't have reacted very awkward those times. But now I feel very safe. So I just make sure, girls are they are not feeling awkward because of it, because it is just a natural phenomenon, and it's not something you should feel embarrassed about. So that is there. And when it comes to boys, it is always about their erections, and they talk about masturbations, nocturnal emissions, all those things. They are so confused. Seriously, kids are very confused. They are very much confused because no one is talking to them, and there are plenty of resources available on the internet that is actually making them, curious, as well as actually fearing them. They are actually very scared about it. They
And I think
always have.
that period between 8th to 10th, that is 8th grade to 10th grade, when puberty hits, there are a
Yeah,
lot of changes within. There are a lot of questions. Like I can relate to my own childhood, and I think, and there was like at that point completely. I mean, the thing is, the previous generation, they might not have had questions because, like, no, no, chichi, no, nothing. For
yes,
us, we had questions, but we didn't have anybody to ask. But thankfully, there wasn't this much of a digital this thing, so we didn't have access to that also. So somehow we remained confused within ourselves. That's all. But today, if they're going to be confused, they have access to a lot of digital
definitely.
resources. So
They
that
have
is,
a
and
lot of stuff.
pandemic has made them so fluent with digital skills, with the classes being online and everything.
Yeah.
So
But the problem is here also, right? So since the digital sources are plenty of digital sources are available for them, they really don't know which is appropriate and inappropriate, which
correct.
is the right information to take in. And always kids fall for this inappropriate things, right?
Yeah,
Because it is
that's
very catchy
the
and it is very
bad always spreads easily
yeah,
rapidly on the
it is
internet.
very
So
easy to follow it and all those things. So we need to actually we need to gear up. Like kids are much geared now. Okay, we need to gear up how to handle this, and how to talk to them about it, and how to not make them feel guilty about it actually. Because main thing what parents do as a mistake is, if they find their child, if they find their child doing something like this, or they get caught, or they say, right, red-handed, all those things, they actually insult the child, they shame them.
yeah.
And
Even
that's
recently there was one where the mother was putting chili powder into the boy's eyes, right?
yeah,
Because he
yes,
was
yes.
caught with something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's actually very wrong kind of thing. So as I said, there is nothing called right or wrong, but there is always something called inappropriate. This is not a correct way to discipline the child, right? It's always inappropriate, because if you're doing this, you are actually instilling the idea into your child that it is completely fine to do such things to discipline some other one, and the child is going to follow the same throughout the life, having this mindset that, okay, my amma did like this to me because she wanted me to get disciplined, so I can do this to anyone because they are not proper. Instead, you can talk about the consequences of it. That is the problem actually we all have. We talk to the child, we say to the child, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, and all those things, but we don't say why you shouldn't do this. We don't say what
Correct.
are the consequences of it. Only when they
Maybe.
know consequences, they will understand, otherwise they won't. And there are certain things that we need to let it be, they need to experience it, and only then they will know what is it or not. We just have to be there for guidance,
Yeah,
parental
yeah. I
guidance.
tell that to my 5-year-old also. I have told what
Yeah.
is going to come out of this. But beyond this, if you want to do, you do it. But this is what is going to happen. But I will
Yeah.
not tell அப்பவே சொன்னேன்ல நானு.
Yeah, அது definitely we should not do it. Then, trust me, they are not going to come to us. How the relationship between the child and the parent should be means, when something happens, something very unusual or very uncomfortable thing happens, the first thing in the child's mind should be, I should go and tell my amma and appa about this because they will help me. But, just imagine
That's
you
what
are
I
you
say.
will
See,
be
for me,
that.
a win as a parent is never about the grades or the degrees or
Yes.
stuff. It's like when my child is in distress, they should feel confident that I should first call Amma. Or it shouldn't be like, yo, if I go there, she will
Oh,
scold
yeah.
or this is going to happen. Let me try to figure out a way, alternate way.
And all these
So,
mindset will form only after a series of experience with you, right? You react very aggressively to
yeah.
your child, or you deny them, or you shoo them away. Then this is the kind of mindset they are going to get. So they will
Hmm.
definitely not turn up to their amma or appa for learning things.
Correct. So we spoke about empowerment, but then I've seen a lot of parents having this fear. Will my child know more than what is needed for the age? Like for example, Danyanu, she talks like she doesn't know what is like to be spoken or not spoken because I make it very normal. So she goes to my nephew and is like, brother, she will keep teaching him. I come here, I will teach you your private parts. So this is are all private parts. Okay, understood. And then there are eyeballs rotating inside the room, like, oh, what is the child? It's not that the child is knowing something beyond they think no, வயசுக்கு மீறி பேசுது. That kind of a tagline.
Yes.
So, in how to overcome that or how to navigate through that part of the entire experience.
Yeah. Yes. So, you have started talking to your child about it. Okay, you think that your child needs to know, like, we have been through the age, right? And we know that
Mm.
at what age what should be taught and what should be known to the child. So if you are actually starting the conversation and you are teaching about it without any hesitation, I'm damn sure the child is not going to know anything beyond their age, right? Because you know what you're going to teach them. So when
Mm.
you're talking about private parts to them, you're teaching the private parts, you're talking them about the boundaries there, you're talking about uncomfortable or unsafe practices, that is revolving around the private parts. You actually teach them to be safe. You are empowering the child, you are equipping the child with the adequate knowledge to stay safe from it, right? So uh, that doesn't mean you're going to talk to the child about having sex, right?
Mm.
You know that that is not age appropriate. So always when the parent themselves are starting the talk, or whoever is responsible, the adult who is responsible for the child's safety and all those things, if they are actually starting the talk, then it is not going to go beyond the age. Else, if you're going to leave it there itself, you're not monitoring them, you're not paying any attention, you're not guiding them at all, definitely they are going to learn beyond the age, because they don't know what are A plus content, what are 18 plus contents on the internet. They don't know what is 18 plus stuff. They don't know what is because they are innocent, right?
Yeah.
We have to accept the fact that they are innocent until they hear it somewhere, or they see it somewhere, right? So it's always with us. You, when you have that control that you are going to teach them, because if you have always been there for the child to teach them, or if you are always there for all their clarifications and doubts, the child, when they are actually getting a doubt, or they are curious about something, they are going to turn up to you. Amma, I want to know this. Now, kita ஒன்னு கேட்கலாமா? Like this. When you're shooing away, only they are going to go for other resources. And when they are actually approaching other resources, trust me, that is not going to help at all, right? It is definitely, we cannot have control over what they are watching after that.
So I think if I have to summarize, I can say when as a parent you're going to talk about sexuality education, you know the cutoff point and the age appropriateness rather than an outside resource. And at the same time, when somebody is having an opinion of the child is talking more than an age, I think it's a perspective. It is not the actual thing that the child is talking more than the age. The child is actually talking what should have been known. Like a
Yes.
4-year-old talking about private parts or my body, like she keeps singing, my body, my own, she keeps singing. But I think that is right for the age. It is the
Right,
problem
yeah.
is many people do not teach these things, so she appears as an outlier
Yeah.
sometimes. So I think we have to let go of that opinion.
Yes. We just need to actually teach them, there is a fine line between, appropriate and inappropriate behaviors actually. So as I said, a child, they will have, we actually have a various, we express a lot of sexual behaviors throughout our life. Okay.
Hmm.
In each phase of life, there is going to be sexual behaviors which are very normal, right? We need to teach them what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. Okay,
Okay.
so you can talk about your private parts, how to safeguard it, and all those things. But we will also teach them that it is private for a reason. So you should
Hmm.
not be rubbing it or opening it in front of
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
right?
True. True.
So when you're actually teaching them what to do, what is this, you have to teach them what not to do, and you should tell, if you do like this, what will be the consequences. So
Yeah.
it's always a full line. We actually forget the last part. What are the
Hmm.
consequences or what not to do? All those things we will forget. So it's all in
Yeah, I
our
think,
hands.
but
How?
they also come up with that naturally because, as I said, like she
Yeah.
asked, "Mama, can I touch this?" So I tell her, "See, I said no private. So private means it is like within the washroom. Like if you're using the washroom only, then you have to be using your private part or removing the undergarments or removing your clothes, things like that. So I think naturally it takes a flow.
Yes.
The
That
child's
actually
question.
happens, a lot of people, they have those doubts, is it okay to, change the dress of the child in front of everyone? Or, as a parent, they will not have time for, like, maybe the child is very small, like a 1 year or old or something, and you need to take bath. Some people say that, no one is there to take care of the child. So definitely I take bath. I come in front of the child and I change my dress over them. I get dressed up in front of them. Is it not? Is it okay, fine, or is it very uh, it's awkward or weird or something? I would say it's completely natural. It's completely fine actually. Because as I said, there are certain things that we need to let it be. Because
Mm.
over the age, when they start knowing that it is not appropriate to change dress in front of others, they will not do it and they will not even see it. So until then, you don't have to force them. If there is no one to take care of the child, you have to take care of it, right? So it is completely okay to get changed in front of your child until certain age. After a
Mm.
particular age, even the child will not be willing to. They will feel uncomfortable, not wearing dress and roaming around. They will definitely cover them up. All those things happen naturally. So when this transition starts happening, as I said, this transition is also a conversation starter for them. You start talking about, it's not just only the private parts, but also any other body parts. If you're feeling uncomfortable, certain behaviors you feel uncomfortable, then you can definitely come and talk to me, report it to me, or you can go and talk to this, and you can actually start creating a safety network for the child also. Because maybe
Mm.
if you are not available, definitely you will be available, but if you are not available, whom to talk, you can reach out to this auntie or this uncle. All those things you can talk to them. So it is
Right.
all how we take it with the child. The chemistry between the parent and the child only they know. I cannot
Mm.
come and teach your daughter. I mean, I can say a lot of things to your daughter, but this will not be the same the way you are teaching them,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's the chemistry between the parent and child, and if we are actually doing it better, we are taking it properly, then it is going to be very, you will navigate them in a proper direction actually.
Mm. Correct. So before we head for resources, one last question. So
Yeah.
because I'm part of many parenting groups and all that, I
Mhm.
see a couple of posts from them. Like when their children come out about their sexuality. I mean, sexual
Mhm.
orientation, to be more precise. So some of them, even the children know they are not very clear on, or it's like because of fear, this thing sometimes they come out. These things are there. So I have noticed certain parents who are ready to accept however they fall under the spectrum,
Mhm.
but they really don't know what the child is saying, how to kind of validate it. Like, for example, if it's a pregnancy, we go to a gynecologist or something. They are like kind of stuck. I am okay if my child is going to fall under the spectrum of any of homosexuality or transgender, whatever it is. But then I really don't know. Now my child has told me this, but I'm really seeking a validation if he or she is actually knowing and telling this, or is it because the peer group is coming up with such discussions, so they have those questions. So, what is the next step that they have to take? They are accepting, they have the mindset to accept, but they really don't know how to navigate it correctly.
Right. Yeah. So, the sexual orientation, like how they identify themselves or how they react to others' attraction or something, it is actually not a one-time process. Okay, it's like throughout the adolescence and even after the adolescence, they keep exploring it. So there is a point that even the person, the child or the child themselves, they don't know who they are. Okay, and it's completely normal for them. Okay, now when a child is opening up to the parent and parent is completely fine, they should not react much to them. As I said, definitely they should not react much. And now already they have a mindset that they will accept it, right? So I would say they should go and meet a what to say, a gender affirmed therapist. Actually, it's for the parent as well as the child. Okay,
Hmm.
so um, there are many gender affirmed, queer affirmed.
Any
Actually, they say that.
leads? Any leads on how do you find them or anything? Because for
Yeah,
this is new
I
to
can
me.
give certain there is a therapist called Janani. Actually, I'll share the thing, and there
Hmm.
is Kayal Biri. There is one
Okay.
person named Kayal Biri also. So there are many therapists. Actually, many of the counselors are actually getting gender affirmed. Actually,
Okay.
so
Fine.
the best thing they can do is they can go and without a child also, just for them to
Hmm.
accept it and for them to navigate through this, they can go and get counsel, get a therapy for them. They can share it with them, and they don't have to react drastically with them. And throughout this, even if they're ready to accept and all those things, it's completely fine. Throughout this, what they need to know is they should not fix their mind that the child is going to be like this only. Okay,
Hmm.
because it is the age of or the phase of exploration. Right now, they will say that I'm getting attracted to same gender, same sex, or same gender. But maybe tomorrow they might feel that they are getting attracted to opposite sex or gender also, right? So we should not fix our mind that the child is going to be in this gender only, and it is a phase where they are going to explore a lot of things. Just be there. Just be there. Um, I would say, like, you don't have to show any special attention to them. Okay, like, oh, my child, he or she, identifies themselves to be in the LGBTQ, so I need to show a special,
Hmm.
special attention to them. It is not needed at all. He or she is definitely a child. They are a child. That's all, right? So let it be. Let them explore. But then you just be there, guiding them what is safe, what are unsafe things, what is healthy, what are unhealthy, and how to explore it positively. Like
Hmm.
not by hurting others or not by harming themselves. Because I would say the hurting or harming themselves or always being depressed about it, it actually arises when there is no one to support them. No one is there to
Correct.
listen to them, right? Because they are not ready to accept, or they are not okay to listen, or they look down at them. Only then this thought of loneliness or helplessness um, uh, it actually creates, right? But apart from it, beyond this, they can just be there with the child, exploring the natural way, however they want to do. They just can do it and they can express it. And also, you can talk to the child. They can talk to the child about whom they are getting attracted to. What kind of things attract them. What kind of things make them crazy or they crush upon, and all those things. And based on that also they can help them how their sexuality is actually, you know. But then
Yeah.
it's always about, you give them the way, you give pave the way for them to explore it themselves.
Okay. Thank you. I think Karpom Karpipom, they have also pinged about how to navigate it. So thank you so much. I'll ensure to write about it when I write about the line. So Shubha, so to the last leg of the, anything else that you want to share before we move on to
Yeah,
resources?
one thing, yeah, throughout all, like when you're talking to a child, when you're talking to your own children or anyone, I would say that every adult is a, concerned adult here. Okay, because if there is some sort of child who is going to calling you akka or anna or auntie or uncle, you are responsible for the safety of the child, right? So, as a concerned adult, it is our responsibility to, create a safe space for them to explore, to develop, to grow without any hesitations. Okay, so first you get educated about what all the things are. You be very sure what you're going to teach your children about it, and then later you teach them. Or if you're not sure what you're going to teach, always go for an expert. You expert support, get support from them. There are many people available, many resources available, from whom you can get your get therapy also, or any source resources for it, for getting educated, all those things. Second thing, always talk about concern and boundary with the children. Definitely that is a key to any part of it. Throughout your life, this concern and boundary is going to be there, so definitely it has to be taught to them. Third thing, it's not just talking about consent and boundary, it is also about accepting the rejections. It's very necessary that you teach your child how to accept the rejections or the failures, because you cannot be it depends on what success or whatever it is to them. But then if there is a no, you should be in a position to accept it and not keep pushing hard on it until it becomes an yes. That is not consent, or that is not happening. So convincing is a no for them, that you have to
Hmm.
teach. Fourth thing, create a safety network. Always talk about safe and unsafe behaviors. Don't limit anything to touch alone. Always talk about safe and unsafe behaviors, because it is not just going to be the touch. It's going to be a variety of things that is going to affect a child as a person, right? So talk about safe and unsafe behaviors, how to respond to it, and make sure you listen to your child. You assure them that you're going to be there, you comfort them. And they think that the first thing that they should do after experiencing any distress then is, they should go and call your parent. They should go and tell their parent, and you behave in such way, like you create the trust, you form that bond with the child. And always don't stick on to the traditional way of disciplining your child. That is not going to help. As I said, it is a failure parenting system, so please don't be like that. And overall, all over Tamil Nadu, if you feel, it's there is any child related issues, or you have come across it and you want to report it, or you want a guidance for it, you can always share my number to them. Definitely, I will always be there. They can call me or they can text me, and we will, to me, or through sex ed also, you can share. We are always here to actually support, actually guide them through this, and we'll do the best that we could.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Subash. So, for resources, are there any books that parents can start with or read Tamil or
Yeah.
English?
Yeah, there is
TROE
this
book.
Tashi organization, Tashi, and Tarshi. Okay, so they have
Okay.
plenty of books. They have
Yeah.
in different colors, actually. Red
Yeah,
book,
yeah, I
orange
remember.
book, yellow book, blue book. It is age appropriate also. And the books are not just for the children. There is for parental guidance, there is for teachers guidance also, as well as for children in different ages, actually. So they
Yeah.
can actually go through it. And there is this book called Sex Book by Lisa Mangaldas. It's
Okay.
completely about your body, everything about your body. It is about the sex, it is about the pleasure, and all those things. So, what I would suggest is the parents can read it, and then they can, talk to their children. in their own way, not the
Mm.
book exactly, but how they want to talk to the child, like that.
Mm.
Then there are certain resources I have taken. There is this book called Menstrupedia, you know, right? Menstrupedia
Yeah.
comic is there. It is for the girls. Okay, so that you can go and My Little Body Book. It's a There is an organization named Arpan in Bangalore. It works for child sexual abuse. They have
Okay.
this book called My Little Body Book.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, so these are some of the things, and there are many Insta handles also. So you
Mm.
can go for if you want to talk about it or share, or if you want to do anything, you can come to Karpom Karpipom definitely. And there is this organization called Aware organization where we volunteered before. You
Yeah.
can definitely go there also. Maya Zama handle Insta
Yeah.
handle is absolutely amazing for every parent to navigate through it. Then Lisa Mangaldas parenting,
Mm.
then consent parenting. So there is this Insta handle called consent parenting, sex positive
Yeah.
family. They
Mm.
also have a beautiful thing. Yeah, sex ed also. There is called Sex Ed Tamil and Janu Tamil. It is also fellow pages of Karpom Karpipom only. So through that page also, there is a lot of sexuality education that is being imparted. So you can always reach out to them also.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful session and very insightful. I think the entire almost more than an hour, I think it has been completely loaded with information. And I really love the way how confidently you speak about it. Shows how deeply passionate you are about this area. And thanks to Karpom Karpipom, they have also joined and given their pointers. So thank you so much, Subhashni, and thanks to all
Yeah.
those who joined. I'll be sharing the live on my story soon, and I'll tag you so that people can watch it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Akka, for inviting me. The first time you invited, I was like, okay, okay. And you said, fine, I want to host you and all. And I was very happy. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm happy that you actually look upon me for these things. And thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And you are
Thank you
someone,
very much.
I keep admiring. I follow your pages. I follow you on Facebook actually. And later only I
Uh,
got into this Insta. And keep inspiring. Keep up with the
thank
good work,
you.
Akka. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care. Happy weekend. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.